Hello, my name is Hector Velasquez and welcome to another episode of GCS 88 Inside the Shop. I just got my kit to upgrade my TIG torch, so I'm pretty excited to get started using these. Now, today we're going to be talking about welding. We're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of arc welding, MIG welding, and TIG welding. And with us to help us understand a little bit about welding and how to get started, we have a special guest technician. And I'm going to let him introduce himself while I finish setting up my torch.
My name's Dustin Bates. I'm with Lads Turf and Golf Equipment. We're out of 5 State in the southeast region. I'm in Canton, Mississippi, which we're going to go over a little bit of just some welding 101, some little tips if you're a beginner of this is what I learned when I started welding. First thing to learn is do not get in a hurry. Make sure your workspace is organized, it's clean. You don't have dirty, oily rags laying around. Just make sure that you are thinking and not getting in a hurry. Make sure you are protecting yourself. These are a leather apron from, I think, Harbor Freight 10 years ago. $16 pair of gloves from TSC. I don't know. So spend you $60 on some protective gear. You know, don't wear a short sleeve shirt. You know, this blue light gives off a lot of UV, so you got to protect yourself.
Good point there, Justin. I got my gear on. What's next, buddy?
All metals have a scale, mill scale, with oxidation on aluminum. That's contaminant. We're trying to get all the contaminants out of it to make sure we have a good penetration, a good fusion, and a clean weld. So that's where I said, don't get in a hurry. Prep work, clean your metal.
All right, so I got some scrap metal pieces here that we're going to use to demonstrate for this video. And Dustin is right. We want to clean our metal. We want to remove the mill scale. All right, and we want to grind a bevel to each piece of material that we're welding on. That way we get good penetration. And we're just going to line up our scrap pieces right here. And we want to make sure that you secure your ground clamp directly to your workpiece. And this is an electrode or a welding rod, and it's basically a wire that's coated with flux. Now, that flux doesn't do good in humidity, so make sure you keep them in its package. Keeps them dry. All right, so we're going to start up on the top and work our way down the bottom of the workpiece. And we're going to keep that electrode close to the workpiece and just working a straight line right down. Let that cool off and you should see the slag getting ready to pop out. That's the old wasted flux material. And hopefully you have something that looks a little bit better than this. It's not too bad.
MIG is basically, you have a wire, you have a little gun and a trigger, then you have your welder that the wire goes in, and then you have a shielded a gas if you're using MIG wire. What are the benefits of a MIG gun? It's, if I were a beginner welder, I would start with a MIG.
All right, so I do not have a MIG welder, but we will have a separate video specifically on MIG welding. Here's a MIG welder at Harbor Freight for $199. Now this is for specifically for flux core wire. Now here we are at Home Depot. As you can see, the wiring is pretty cheap. They got a couple different sizes. This here is for a welder that you use gas. And they have 2 different sizes of that. And this is for aluminum. This is for one size, here's another size. And then this is your flux cord wire. The flux is inside that core of that wire. All right, so let's talk about TIG welding. Now I just got my new kit. You're gonna need a tungsten for this, and let me show you what we do with this. This is what they look like. As you can see, we're gonna need to sharpen our tungsten. Now, here's a trick that I learned from a welder a while back, and that is to just put your tungsten on a drill. You want to have a stone dedicated just for tungsten. So I made this bench grinder where it's just specifically to sharpen my tungstens. And I'm going to very slowly just turn the drill, put some light pressure. It's like sharpening a pencil. Then I'm going to take some emery cloth and clean up that wiring. Next, we're going to cut down the tungsten to make it fit my torch. All you got to do is score it, and it cracks right in half. Really nice clean break. All right, you want to make sure you clean all your parts. We're going to use acetone. Make sure we're using a clean rag. And we're going to wipe down our tungsten after we've handled it, greasy fingers and all that. We want to make sure to get all that cleaned off. And we're going to start assembling our TIG torch. There we go. We're going to put the back cap on. And we have our stick out already set. All right, we also want to clean our filler rod. We want to make sure there's no contamination in that. Just like how we cleaned our workpiece, we want to make sure everything else is nice and clean. Clean, clean, clean prep is the name of the game here. All right, and you want to give it a practice run. And this is going to take practice, you guys. I've been TIG welding for a few years now, and believe me, I am not great at it. I've gotten better, but I still need a whole lot of practice. And what I'm basically doing here, I'm running a root pass. But I gave this workpiece several passes. It's a 1/4 inch material, so TIG welding is probably not the best technique to weld, but if you notice, the workpiece didn't warp or anything. And after several passes, I was able to weld it up, grind it down nice and smooth, and it'll look good as new. Where this new gas lens and Pyrex glass really made a huge difference. Dustin, thank you so much for helping us have a better understanding on how to get started with welding. And I want to thank you for joining me here today on GCSAA Inside the Shop, where we're helping technicians one wrench at a time.